Hi, I'm Phil Brown. I'm at ACM and I'm going to answer some questions for MusicTech. I've been lucky to work with an assortment of artists over the years. Now I can choose who I work with, but when I first started out working for Island Records and being a house engineer, for 6 years I did kind of the sessions I was asked to do, and I had no real say in what I did. Well, the role of an engineer has changed a fair bit, I think, partly due to technology and the amount of choices you have now. When I started at Olympic, it was 4-track and 8-track, so we learnt about miking techniques and how to make a record with 4 tracks or 8 tracks. It's changed through the 80s with the technology, and up to today there's so many options. I think an engineer today has a lot more to deal with. Sometimes less about miking technique, but more about the kind of post-production. My go-to gear back then, which some of it is still the same now, Uri 1176 compressors, which I love. Always use those on vocals, often on guitars, still do. And I suppose microphone, Uri of the Neumann U87, which again has been around. I mean, I remember the first one was a 67 in Olympic, but they've been around since 70, and I still use those a lot. If I went back to look at something I've done in the past, I think the only album that I really have always been frustrated with was an album by a singer called Murray Head, who was in kind of Jesus Christ Superstar in the late 60s and various movies, and we made an album in the early 70s, which was a concept album, fantastically involved, but because it was manual mixing in those days and we only had a 16-track machine, I'd love to go back and kind of bring it into Pro Tools and be able to tweak it and do to it what I would love to have done to it then, but we just didn't have the technology. It was called Nigel Lived. I mean, I did kind of retire from the mainstream about 2 years ago. I stopped working for record companies, but I'm in the process at the moment of making an album with Maxi Jazz, who was from Faithless, and we have a new project called the E-Type Boys. So I've spent the last year, 18 months working with Maxi. Advice to artists going in for the first time? That's well, it sounds easier said than done, but it's just to try and make it an event in a kind of fun way. You know, if you want to bring in lighting, bring in something that makes the studio feel more comfortable, more like you would like to be. I think it's very imposing when people go into certain studios and with the setup and the equipment and everything. I think it can be a little daunting, especially for singers, to be stuck in the middle of a room. So I always try to, make them feel comfortable. So to me, if you want your mates to come in and hang out, if you want lighting, if you want a strobe, whatever you need to just make yourself feel relaxed. That's probably the biggest secret, is just being relaxed in the studio.